Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for March 25th through 28th, 2022. Well, are you feeling the intensity? Now that we have the sun in Aries, we're starting to wake up. It's like we've been in a deep stupor, maybe for lifetimes and thousands of years, maybe the whole Piscean age. And there's this feeling of wherever people are at in the spectrum of awakening to spiritual truth, awakening to truth. There's a huge pressure building for this transition. And this has to do with Venus and then Mars triggering the Saturn square Uranus astrology of 2021. So they're both in Aquarius and both just having made squares with Uranus, and then will be coming into conjunction with Saturn. So this square is about, why aren't we seeing the changes that we know have to happen in our world? It's like coming up against the wall again and again. And now that the sun is in Aries, it's empowering Mars in Aquarius. And basically, it's like putting pressure on to turn the wheel of our reality. And so, like I said, wherever you're at in your process, there's this pressure, this frustration, this suppressed anger coming to the surface. For supernova souls, it's awakening to how much our precious spiritual gifts that we bought into weren't ours to have, or have covered in shame and through lifetimes, how much our precious spiritual energy we've worked so hard through many lifetimes and experiences has been under attack and fed upon by nefarious forces. And we have been so stuck in this immobilization place of grief and shock from the last couple of years of our experience, and then those sensitive souls, supernova souls, feeling so much of the collective confusion, delusion, cognitive dissonance. And it's just been like riding on the seas of life, trying to just make it through and figure out moment to moment what's going on. Now we've got some energy of fire, and it's the first fire of this year, and it's activating the year of the tiger energy, which is action. Let's do it. Let's use our will. Now, the energies, when parasitic energies, which is the whole basis of our whole reality, feed, they go for the power. And this is in the chakra system you're looking at often. It's the third chakra. The third chakra is our personal power, our ability to move energy in the world, our ability to take action and direct our action in alignment with our own truth rather than the conditioning and programs of the people around us. So as we've been shocked and traumatized, that allows your third chakra. You're like, oh, have you had this feeling? I think supernova souls have been here for the last couple of years. Just an inability to move, take action, get clarity on direction, and kind of bobbing up and down as a victim of the seas of life. But now it's game change. And because we have a flurry of fire energy, and also these transits are so incredibly powerful, because Venus and Mars had that incredible 3-week conjunction with and then coming up with Pluto and moving over to Aquarius together. That's a massive activation. Now, it'd be one thing if Venus and Mars were just triggering this square, but after that massive activation of empowerment, we're speaking to new roles, new directions, new assignments for the masculine and the feminine as we move into the new age. They're in Aquarius together. And so Mars, we're still feeling for the next couple of days, Mars and square to Uranus. And this is, it's bringing us, it's like this, all of a sudden, there's an energy of fire and fight and the warrior in us that is recognizing and awakening to the level of deception and control and feeding on us that we've gone through. And, so it's happening to a supernova soul recognizing over lifetimes how much you've been effed with, And for humanity, it's about recognizing, opening, waking up to the lies, the deceit, the deep, dark things that have been happening right under our nose with our tax dollars. And this is where we say, I do not consent. And enough is enough. Game over, game change, right? Because as long as we're stuck in that immobilization place of trauma and shock, then we can never claim back our power. So this righteous anger, this suppression of life force, this power that's growing within us, this recognition of how much we've been messed with, and being like, enough is enough. Because guess what? In that moment, as that, when you come out of victimization and take back your power, there's this righteous anger. Now, this is a powerful energy coming up with all of this Mars and Aries. But that righteous anger is a necessary place that we go to take our power back and say, hey, wait a minute. If you're feeding on me and you've gone through all of this to have parasitic, tentacles into my precious life force and power, that means I've got it. You've got it. We've got it. We hold it. We, the people, we humans in a body have the power. So what I'm seeing is multiple levels of awareness and, humanity, like in general, totally asleep, but now beginning to see through the veil. And then for supernova souls, seeing this whole pattern over lifetimes, where you've been victimized and attacked for who you are in your light and playing small, right? So this last couple of years, we've had this massive recapitulation of how we felt in the Piscean age. And recognizing, so for supernova souls, the anger and the resentment coming up is around where you continue, and we're all doing it. We've all been forced to do this, right? On some level. Continue to capitulate to the programs, the narrow-minded, the control energies, the stupidity, and where we have, the whole Piscean age energy for us, supernova souls, was about turning down our light, invalidating, hiding, in order to stay safe and alive, in order to fit in, so that we could stay safe and alive. And so this resentment and anger energy coming up, this fire in the belly, it's the same energy as Kundalini, right? And maybe that's what we need to bust through and access this energy. The energy of creation is available right here in our own body by birthright, by definition. We have access, direct access to life force energy. That creation energy, though, that's like seated in the sacral chakra, we've been programmed to think it's like not ours to have. Our creation, it's like only for making babies, the creation energy, and it's like the property of the system, some mechanical operation. And so much, it makes me think of what I'm seeing as the devil card in tarot, where the lovers are chained to materialism, chained to the lower chakras, and that energy is stuck. And now it's like the fire is brewing. The fire is stoked. Watch out, world, because it's a game-changing moment. And, but maybe that's that righteous anger gets us out of the victimization of hiding, playing small, going along with the constructs and programming and conditioning of the people around us in order to not make too many waves or, get attacked. It's like enough is enough, right? And so, but now it's like there's this power rising, and maybe that righteous anger inviting that Kundalini awakening and taking back of this power, saying that like, okay, this whole story that I'm starting to see more clearly of our lifetimes and of this evolution is only pointing to one truth, that you and I, and especially advanced souls, but humans in general, human soul and a body, we've had the power all along. And enough is enough. So this fire in the belly, this rising, this righteous anger is bringing an empowerment. And so I know it's been so long since supernova souls have felt that they could really have the support and direction and clarity to move forward, but be ready to do that. That's this energy. It's like time to enact our spiritual will and become the drivers of our life again, our chariot, take back our power in alignment with the greater truth, But we've been playing the lower game, And this is what's going on. The frustration for supernova souls with this astrology is like, oh my gosh, I have put up and shut up for so long. And, you start to try to, sometimes you'll even be solicited. Hey, what's your deal? Like, you've got a different energy, right? Like, what's up with you, And the sleeping sheep kind of have one little moment of clarity. And then you begin to say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll explore talking about and connecting on this other level of awareness, spiritual awareness, and facts of reality. And it's like, oh, no, right? And it's like, haven't you had enough of this? Because supernova souls have been very deliberately and karmically surrounded, limited over many lifetimes, right? So it's like humanity's waking up to the control of the dark, deep state cabal over humanity. Supernova souls are waking up to how this same forces over many lifetimes have sought to use everything they have to farm you for your power, make sure you don't access it yourself. And it's like, oh man, And so this is giving us an opportunity, though, to step back into our power. And so what's happened with these karmic relationships over lifetimes for supernova souls is that's like almost they were deliberately placed there to make sure through programming of past lives. Maybe it's because these people around you, your family members, and ancestral connections and soul, whatever that you've been traveling with, maybe they saw you be persecuted or something like that. And then they're like, oh, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. And so they've seen their role karmically to make sure that you never, ever have any spiritual validation on any level. There's no reflection back in your world of the spiritual truth of who you are. And then, just like they'd like you to be, you're living in a fractured reality because you've got this whole other part of yourself that doesn't have any avenue of expression or reciprocation in this world. And so then it doesn't exist, right? It's a long-held agenda of control and to make sure that you never remember who you are as a spiritual being. But the fire is returning. And so it's a really powerful time right now over this next couple of weeks to have the courage to make some changes or head in new directions, take a leap. And it's typically something that probably nobody in your life sees as important or valid, And it's scary because it means you have to go completely out on your own, right? But you've been alone this whole time. You can call those relationships, Aren't you ready for the real deal? Isn't it time for us to thrive? I mean, we've been in survival mode for so long and just bobbing along the waters of life, trying to make it through as we wade through all these collective bullshit energies, and take on the garbage for humanity again and again. And it's like, yeah, no, this isn't enough for me because now I see that I am this precious spiritual light. You've worked really hard over many lifetimes. You've gone to hell and back to be able to really have access to this energy. And this fire that's brewing is like, yeah, nobody's going to take this from me. It's like, I'm not going to like, oh yeah, sure. Maybe it's okay. You can like play a little bit in these energies, and then it's just manipulation and harassment, attack. And so we need this power of of this fire and this righteous anger to stand up finally, the starseed rebellion, and be like, yeah, not playing, right? So this is this game-changing energy. So let's talk it through, because for the next couple of days, we're still feeling Mars in square to Uranus, and this is bringing this activation energy. It's like, you can't have that righteous anger and have the strength to change and move and take back your power and piss people off if they need to get pissed off. You don't have that if you can't see up and beyond the victimization, the small picture that's been painted for you. So that means congratulations, because you can see outside of the firmament dome fake reality matrix that's been created for us. And God bless you for being here and being brave enough to look up and be in this righteous truth of who you are in your power as a human, as a spiritual human, an advanced soul. There is no higher authority than a human soul in a body. The body has the power. Why? Because the body has the direct access to life force, this creation energy we've been talking about, free energy. It's ours. And there's an abundance of it. And we're done playing this game. So it's time for a game change. And so supernova souls, in your recognition, and you're saying, I'm done. I see the bigger picture now. There's no reason all this crap would have been done to me if I didn't have the power in the first place. Now I'm taking it back and I'm not playing, right? That process that you're going through and being invited to come into your fire is fueling humanity in general to maybe show up at the news stations and demand why they're not telling us the truth. Oh, state-owned, corporate-run control and domination. Enough is enough, right? So when we take back our fire and we really know and really feel that this power is ours. Now, the righteous anger can also move you through any fear programming, because this is the biggest energy that's kept supernova souls playing small. Is that you're programmed. If you go anywhere near that creation energy in the higher chakras, that Kundalini awakening, is to get fear programming, scared, anxiety, and go, oh, no, maybe I just don't want to do that, right? And there's all kinds of messages like, oh, you're going to hurt people with that, or it's going to make you go crazy. That's a big one, right? And so we have to get over this threshold of fear programming. And this righteous anger is what does that. It fuels the will, And so Mars square Uranus for the last couple of days is just like this. It's just this frustration building and this pressure. And this Uranus has a higher frequency vibration that's like, kind of can bring nervous system reactions. It's like a vibrational frequency. It's trying to break the code of the old way, and Mars, the warrior, in Aquarius, saying, gotta go into the Aquarian age now, right? Now, the next stage of this Venus and Mars triggering this 2021 astrology of why aren't we seeing the physical changes in our world that represent how different it is energetically? Now Venus will come into this conjunction with Saturn in Aquarius. So Saturn is the laws and the rules, the structures of our world. And in Aquarius, it's about the laws and rules and structures. It's also about our role, our dharma, our true path. And it's also about authority, false authority energies that have obstructed and interfered with our true path. And so Venus is getting her marching orders. She's getting her role. She's understanding the role of the feminine in the Aquarian age. And it's an empowerment. And it's kind of like, okay, and maybe that's been kind of where we're at, like in this confusion and delusion and bobbing our head up above the water and sinking back down and trying to get a grip, It's like we can't figure out, the old ways of creating and being in the world aren't working anymore. And this is like, all right, boom, kick in the butt. This is how it happens. So that's really promising because it's kind of like, because the Venus is always going to represent for supernova souls our intuitive nature and the part of ourselves that's been in low self-worth and shame around our intuitive nature. And that's exactly our power we're talking about. So this is a massive empowerment. And it's like, here's your role, here's your direction. And again, a very powerful message for supernova souls that we've been getting all year, 2022. It's like, hey, it might be 2024 before, I don't know, big changes that we really want to see in the world, but it's our time to go. We're here to lead the way. And that means my life, my way now. Now that you know the precious gift of the power that you have as an advanced soul and body, that you worked so hard for and never gave up your soul connection and never gave up your true soul innocence, now it's time to run with that and demand and command that your life is supported. Because now you know the precious spiritual gift that you are. This is the big energy of 2022 because the North Node is now in Taurus, speaking to a wealth revolution. The way forward is a complete recapitulation of our self-worth and what our value system is. And that's the only way for humanity to move forward. Uranus has been in Taurus, bringing a new energy and awakening. You know, it's like a new way of relating to physical form and money and value and resources. And part of that is uncovering the spiritual gifts, the value that you have, the incredible value, you know, the diamonds. And are you ready and willing now to honor this as sacred? Because that, to me, when we're talking about that chariot and driving our chariot, but not with our ego, but in alignment with the divine timeline and the highest good is taking care of the highest good. That's you. Can you do this? Can you get out of the way and honor and bless? Let your life be honored and blessed by your presence in your life, to enjoy your own energy, to contain it. This is the biggest issue moving into the Aquarian age. We cannot move forward in our evolution until we claim our autonomy. How can we move into an egalitarian, more without hierarchical control structures if we're still willing to give our power away? And so we have to claim our autonomy. For supernova souls, this is literally a containment of this energy that you have. And again, coming back to that fear programming, because that is a lot of times that's the subconscious program that allows us to give our power away. We don't even realize we're doing it. But it's almost like a hot potato. And you go, oh, I got all this power and I was killed for it before and it's scary and people don't like it. And there's a reaction and I got to get rid of this hot potato. So we leak it out to the people around us, you know, not even realizing we're doing it. And it's time to kind of let that get hot and face the fear, walk through the coals of this fire, burn away all of the stories around us that have kept us from lying, living a lie in order to keep everything copacetic, you know? It's like, oof, yeah. So you can feel the Aries activation. And so with Mars as the ruler of Aries, it's like it's got a very powerful energy. And in Aquarius, that's in a sextile relationship to its home sign in Aries. And so Venus coming up to Saturn, then Mars coming up to Saturn. Venus comes up to Saturn on the 28th. So this is going to be a big day on Monday, because that's the same day that Mercury moves over into Aries. And so we've had all these planets in Pisces. So even though we've moved into Aries season, it's been like we've got this bobbing up in the confusion, delusion, shock, trauma, sorting through life in multiple unconscious dimensions, right? And now we've had that sun move into Aries, but we're still having so much Pisces energy. But when Mercury moves over, that's when we're really going to feel it. And then that's just a couple of days before the new moon in Aries. And that's like, boom, because this Mercury will be, it's like, oh, you can't make this stuff up. It's so amazing how these planets have been doing this dance for thousands of years. And it seems random, but at the same time, it's written. It's like, how could this line up in this way? Because what's happening is that Mercury is catching back up to the sun. When it moves over into Aries, it's catching back up to the sun. The last time Mercury was with the sun was in January, before at the beginning of its retrograde in Aquarius. So that's powerful because we've got all this Aquarius activation and Aries activation. And so Aries is the starter, the warrior, the let's make some stuff happen. Let's go. Let's get some fire. And so it's like fire for the changes that need to occur in our everyday world to begin to move over into the new energy. And we've been poised at the precipice for long enough, It's like, oh. And so very powerful that Mercury is catching back up to the sun right at the beginning of Aries. And then they come together for an exact conjunction for the new moon. And so we'll have the sun and the moon and Mercury and Chiron all together for this new moon in Aries. Now, Chiron is our wounds and the wounded healer and the deepest wounds. And where Chiron is a very important energy. It speaks to everything we've been talking about around the process of what the intuitive soul is going through right now. The supernova soul being like seeing the bigger picture of what's gone on in your lifetimes and how much you've been held down, right? And targeted and attacked and harassed and for just simply for being who you are. And enough is enough, right? And so Chiron in your birth chart as a supernova soul is really, really important because it shows your deepest wounds that have happened over your whole evolution, right? It's like, that's why it speaks specifically to supernova souls. Now, Chiron in Aries for all of us is representing the wounds around where we gave our power away, where we allowed it to be chained in the lower chakras, where we bought into the fear that we can't handle it and let it leak out to everyone around us and let it feed this bullshit matrix. And one by one, these souls, I can feel it. And there is a massive harassment and anger energy, or just a troublesome, I don't even know how to describe it, energy that comes just before you break free, just before you take back your power. There's like a big bloom, it's almost like it's making me think of that empath narcissist relationship. And then when the empath realizes the abuse, and then they understand that it might be a dangerous situation because you can't trust who the person is, but you got to get out and you got to strategically plan your exit, because it's at that moment when you go to break free that all hell breaks loose, right? Because then they first try anger and to scare you with violence. Then they will plead and beg. Then they will threat to commit suicide. And then if that doesn't work, they will try a smear campaign, all to get back access to your energy. They don't love you. They just want your juice. Is this every single relationship you've had? You must have some good juice. It might be time to own that shit for yourself, that precious creation energy, And so we're coming to this place where survival isn't going to work for us anymore. This is the Aries energy. Aries wants freedom and life force and experience more than anything, and we'll choose that over, it's kind of this energy of life or death, like choosing an experience of fear and unknown, risking death for that experience of life. That the experience of life is what the most important thing. And if we're here not living, then what is the effing point, And so incredibly powerful activation of our spiritual will And maybe this new alignment of Venus and Mars guiding us to where we supporting us in our new roles and clarity, so we can take that spiritual energy back and run with it. That's been part of it. It's like, okay, I'm trying to get empowered. I'm trying to figure out my life, trying to do the right thing, but nothing that, all the avenues have been closed. All the doors have been closed. The new energy hasn't been close enough for us to make that leap and to trust and to move in new directions. But that's the game change that we're at right now. So massive, so Chiron, going back to Chiron, deep and profound wounds around this, where we've given up our life force. And it's kind of like Chiron is like, I'd rather not live if I'm not going to live. So it's time to live. We got to take a chance on living rather than being partially here in programmed reality. And that's giving us the fire to make that leap out of the matrix and trust that higher alignment, because we talked about the chariot and driving your chariot, but not with your ego and your lower constructs of getting back at somebody or making things right. It's like, no, this is about finally holding precious and righteous the spiritual work that you've done and who you are as a soul. And that alignment with the highest timeline and your highest self can help you make this leap over this threshold and give you that confidence, spiritual confidence, because it's like, whoa, taking back my power and owning my field and claiming my life force, that's doing right by God. To treat yourself in a way that's supporting your containment of this chi and bringing it up, bringing that creation energy up into our higher intuitive knowing. That's what they've never wanted us to do. So we should probably go do it, right? I mean, so this is bringing me, so that's that with the sun and the moon, new moon in Aries, and the sun and the moon coming together is always a new start. And Aries is a sign of a cardinal sign, which is the starters. And we got that fire, we're trying to get that motor running. And then the sun and the moon together is like our identity and our emotions, like who are we? And so we're definitely kind of reflecting and understanding who we are as caretakers of this cosmic light. And are you ready to treat yourself accordingly? To love and honor your vessel as a worthy and able container for God's love and light. And own it so hard that you're flowing over and that your light just makes everything else bullshit and reaction and karmic, whatever's out there, all the reasons why in your community you played so small. I don't give an F, right? Like, this is going out in the truth and alignment with source and spirit. Finally, I'm going to live that way. And it is nothing to me what the reaction that has, right? Because you've gone through the fires now. And you've gone through the depths of the darkness. And that's the power of being a soul, powerful soul, supernova soul, is that you've gained this spiritual confidence and you're not scared, right? But we've got to go through that threshold experience. Inevitably, you're going to find that fear. And then you're going to find that you're so much bigger and stronger than that fear. False evidence appearing real. It's kind of like scary goblins and entities and dark demons. That shit's real. But the whole reason they're harassing us is because they don't have a body. We got the body. And this is the whole medical tyranny situation. It's all designed to disconnect us from that life source right inside of our own body, our God code, our luminous activated DNA. And so by us claiming that so deliberately and with such strength, that is the medicine we can bring to the world. And I can just see this direct correlation with supernova souls coming into this empowerment, and that humanity puts its big girl panties on, you know, and maybe we can get some positive change energy going. So Chiron, the deep wounds of giving our life force away, and then the sun and the moon, who are we? Oh, we're beings of life force. We're in a body. We have this power. And then Mercury. Mercury is the mind and our conceptual reality. So Chiron in Aries wants to break free, from the chains of this whole evolution of where we've been giving our power away. And it's here in our psychology, in our mind, in our emotions, like recognizing that, okay, so we've all had this where you're like, this issue is here again, and it's exactly the same. And I got triggered right back into it. And there's this messed up energy coming at me, trying to keep me in this energy. Oh, it's the same. And it keeps repeating. Sounds like a program, right? So we're having the power, this righteous anger, this coming out of suppression, coming out of shock, coming out of trauma, and saying, wait a minute. I'm not going with that program. Now, it's almost like I've seen this for a while. Like we have a psychological brain, and it's actually a collective brain created by this matrix reality. And so what we think are our thoughts a lot of times is we're just being fed. And so it's really powerful if you do feel like you've been coming up against a lot, feeling under attack, because that's what happens right before you break free, the backlash, to recognize that the true self, which is Aries, brings us the power of this I am, and that true self, your God self, cannot be attacked. Only the false part of you, your personality constructs and the programming, right? So all of this that's happening now, this is a huge energy right now. And the bigger picture is like understanding that there's just this shit that's got to play out for humanity right now. They have to fully realize, they have to understand that blue and yellow flag actually represents the deepest, darkest cabal, distortion, money laundering, dark acts against humanity. And so you're that righteous moral support, that you're going to give to that. And then tomorrow you're going to find out that you've actually been rallying for pedophiles. And humanity has to realize this. It's like humanity has to get on the programmed train and go far enough down that dark tunnel, and come back before we can come back into the light. Now, supernova souls have been riddled and programmed and held down in shame for lifetimes. And we continue to hold the shame for humanity. But with the game change, right? With the inevitable truth coming out of reality, which we don't even know, it's subjective, I guess, but humanity is going to feel shame. They're going to have to face the shame that's programmed within them of like trusting the wrong people. See, we've been doing this the whole time. We were too naive in our past lives. We trusted the wrong people. And then we learned. And isn't it time to take the fruits of our labor and run with it? But there is going to be shame, like, oh my gosh. And then I judged my neighbor because they were thinking for themselves, and then not only did we allow ourselves to be deliberately poisoned and infiltrated with DNA altering substances, we championed it, and so just knowing that humanity has got to play out this train wreck. But do you, right? Isn't it time for you to be finally treated as the light that you are, deserves to be treated. And it's up to you. Only you can do that. Only you can contain your energy. Only you can say no to the bullshit. So that's the empowerment energy that's coming. And Mercury, Sun, Moon, Chiron, freeing the mind from mind control. And so the power of coming back, when you get out there and you're like, whoa, how did I get here? And now I'm reacting and what's going on? And it's like, everything is designed right now out there to keep you distracted from what's really happening, which is you about to bloom as a spiritual flower that you are. So bring your attention back there. This true self, when we really come into it, it feels like we're losing something when we let go of our personality constructs. It's like, I don't know who I am. That's a necessary place, because your God self is so much more true and you're so much more identified with it. And it's so much more your reality. You don't have to give anything up. There's these beautiful facets. We all get to play the very individual role. This is the beauty of the DNA. Each of our DNA has a very unique spin ratio, unique only to us, like that snowflake, you know? So we don't have to give anything up to come into our God self. It's a beautiful, glorious experience of playing and co-creating with the universe. And so bring your attention back to that I am, like literally shut the door on all of the bullshit. When you feel that feeling like you're getting pulled, everything wants to pull you away. Everything wants at what you have. Don't give it to them. And come back to that I am place. Come back to like, okay, right here. Empress right here. This is what my spiritual truth is, the only thing true. No wonder the whole world wanted to make me disidentify and disconnect from this spiritual truth. But I got a hold of it now and I'm not giving up, right? So really powerful. So that we've got the new moon, we got Mercury moving into Aries on the 28th, and then Sun, Chiron coming together with Mercury on the 2nd, April 2nd, 3rd, that new moon on the 1st. And then the culmination energy of this chapter is when Mars comes into that conjunction with Saturn. And this is like, it's a war drum, right? And it's also inviting us to dance and live to the beat of our own drum and get on with it. So it's really powerful. And so that new moon is just like, boom, big spark of like awareness and awakening and opportunities. And then Mars conjunct Uranus a few days later. Mars conjunct Saturn in Aquarius a few days later. It's like, all right, we're not backing down, It's a reality that we're in a spiritual war becoming a reality. And we already know this. And we're ready to get out of the battle. But it's ironic because we have to like identify and honor the fact that we are spiritual warriors, and it's just so powerful that we're here together incarnate. And I know there's this whole program right now that we talked about, like everybody around you just not being able to identify your spiritual truth, because that's by design. And but right outside of that matrix reality is your soul team, and they're waiting for you, and you're waiting for them. And we're right there at the precipice of beginning to come together, and this world creating in a real world way from the energy shifts that we've already felt. And that's the Saturn square Uranus getting triggered. It's like, okay, we've been stuck. There's a cog in the gears. We had to go backwards and forwards, and who knows, with this timeline adjustment, trying to get back on our ideal timeline. And then it's like, all right, turn the wheel, start the engine, let's go. So beautiful times lie ahead for supernova souls, where you finally supported in fully living and fully expressing. And that is divine. That's your divine purpose. And it's a blessing and honor for you and source. And so be there in that energy, no matter what's happening around you. Own this power, and know that we're here together doing it. And each one of us, as we take our power back, It's like snip, snip. We're cutting the ties of that matrix reality, and know it's happening, and we're doing it together, and we're here, and we didn't go through all this just to experience this BS. We went through all this because there's a golden age coming, and we're on the cutting edge of leading humanity there by first finding permission, by remembering who we are, really, truly supernova souls, and honoring and treating with reverence. The rest of the world is like, it's weird right now because there's, as you come into your light and power and you begin to own it, your energy field is way different, and people will react to you. And that's where it's kind of scary, right? Because of zombies, and we've been so attacked for our light in the past, but now we can't turn it down like we did before. But that's just a stage in the game. And again, it's like when your light is emanating in that overflowing cup, you as the Holy Grail, then whatever that reaction is in the world, it just bounces off, But maybe this movement, righteous anger, spiritual will initiation can move us into going ahead and allowing ourselves to make the changes to be around energies that are supportive of the spiritual light, right? And do you deserve it? Because you and your lower self and that bullshit stories that they've kept you chained in, no, that person doesn't deserve it because it's not even real. But you and your God self is finally ready to be treated as it deserves to be treated. And it's up to you. It's up to us, and we can do it together. So know that the movie's getting weird and scary because we're coming to the war cry. We're coming to the pounding drums. And that's exactly our cue to dance to our own drum and be like, this survival shit, it's not enough. Because my soul, my spirit, my God self, my source of creation is here to thrive. So watch out, world. So let's stick together, and I hope that you can consider joining next week. Look for an activation on next Thursday, March 31st, for that Aries New Moon. Incredibly powerful. Starting that motor, clearing out everywhere we've been giving our power away. Authority contracts could come up really huge there with that Chiron, Mercury, Sun, Moon, and getting ready to really move in new directions. And it's like humanity is learning there's a spiritual war, and we're getting out of the battle. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for going through all you've gone through, and it's going to be so worth it. Don't give up. Keep breathing, keep loving, come back to that I am, keep affirming that truth, and know that nothing can attack that. Can only attack the false parts of yourself. And that all of this is happening because you're getting closer to that threshold of claiming that true freedom and autonomy, the necessary step for us to be Aquarian age participants. So good work. Keep it up. So much love to you, Supernova Souls. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.